My name is Mira. My husband abandoned me in Seoul. He took my passport, cut off my money, walked away. He thought he could disappear me, that I would go quietly. Instead, the most powerful man in the city noticed. The first thing Mira noticed was not the silence, it was the timing. Daniel began coming home at consistent hours again. Not earlier, not later, consistent. As if someone had studied the rhythm of their house and decided predictability could pass for stability. He entered at 7:40 p.m. 3 nights in a row, hung his coat in the same place, kissed the air near her cheek, asked, "How was your day?" in a tone that did not require detail. Routine can feel like devotion, if you want it to. She wanted it to. For 12 years she built her life around composure. She believed in quiet corrections, in restraint, in letting storms pass without naming them. So when he began placing his phone face down on the counter instead of near his plate, she did not comment. When he started showering, immediately after coming home, she did not ask why. When he angled his body to shield his screen, she told herself privacy did not equal betrayal. "You're thinking again," he said one night, not unkindly. She hadn't realized her expression shifted. "Thinking about what?" "You do that," he replied, setting down his fork. "You build entire narratives in your head." She nodded slowly. It was possible. She had always been observant. He had always framed that as imagination. "I just feel like we're—" She paused, displaced. Displaced? A faint smile, patient, measured. "We live in the same house. That's not what I mean." He leaned back, studying her as if she were an abstract concept instead of his wife. "You've been restless," he said, unsettled. "I don't know where that's coming from." The implication was gentle, but firm. Her unrest, her interpretation, her problem. He reached for her hand, warm, familiar. "You're overthinking," he said quietly. "We're fine." She held his gaze. His eyes did not waver. That steadiness used to reassure her. Now it felt curated. She withdrew her hand, not abruptly, just enough. Later, lying beside him in the dark, she listened to his breathing. Even. Controlled. He did not reach for her. He had not reached for her in months. Physical distance arrives long before absence does. She told herself marriage evolves, passion settles, life consumes energy. But intimacy had not faded gradually. It had thinned, like fabric stretched too tight. 3 days later, he mentioned Seoul. Sunday morning, coffee between them. "I've been thinking," he said. "We need a reset." She stilled. "Reset how?" "I have meetings in Seoul next month. 2 weeks. He stirred his coffee, though it did not need stirring. "Come with me." "Seoul," she repeated. "A change of environment might help you. Help you. You've been unhappy." "I've been concerned," she corrected gently. "That's what I mean. A faint smile. A fresh city. Different energy. We'll reconnect. Reconnect." The word slid into her guarded hope. "And your meetings? They won't take all day. This could be good for us." There was something rehearsed in the cadence, not false, prepared. She wanted to believe him. She had not fought for anything in their marriage before. She adjusted, adapted, softened her edges when he called her sharp. Perhaps this was her chance to be active instead of reactive. 2 weeks, she said. "I'll arrange everything." Of course he would. He always arranged everything. In the weeks before the trip, his attentiveness improved. Tea without being asked. A compliment placed gently. "That color suits you." She accepted it. But the phone remained guarded. The late messages continued. 2:13 a.m. The screen illuminated. She did not look. "In the morning, work?" Yes, no hesitation. There were no lipstick stains. No receipts hidden in pockets. Just absence. Just the feeling of standing near someone who had already stepped away. She packed carefully. Neutral dresses, structured blouses, composure traveled well. At the airport, he walked slightly ahead of her, not far, just enough. On the plane, he chose the aisle without asking. She took the window. Clouds passed beneath them in silent layers. Mid-flight, he reached for her wrist. "We'll fix this." "Fix what?" she wanted to ask. She nodded instead. Because naming it might make it solid, and she still believed geography could rearrange emotion. When they landed, Seoul was bright. Glass towers, clean lines, precision. He seemed energized immediately. His posture straightened, his tone sharpened with the driver. She remained quiet in the back seat, watching the city pass, alive without being loud. The hotel was understated, High floors, quiet wealth. The suite overlooked the Han River. Good, he said softly, as if this had been evaluated long before arrival. Dinner? She asked. No, I have a call. Later, of course. He moved away, already checking his phone. She stood by the window. The river reflected city lights like restrained fire. 2 weeks, she reminded herself. That night, he rested a hand on her shoulder. Not intimate. Just wait. She leaned into it. He did not pull her closer. Proximity without connection. In the morning, the other side of the bed was cool. His suitcase was gone. At first she assumed an early meeting. Then she saw the note. We both know this hasn't been working. I think space will clarify things. Stay here, think, space, clarify. Her phone buzzed. In meetings all day. We'll talk later. She checked her suitcase. No passport. Checked again. Nothing. Bank app. Access denied. Account permissions updated. No screaming. No collapse. Just recalibration. This was not space. This was isolation. He believed she would endure quietly. He believed she would wait. She stood very still. For the first time since the marriage began thinning. Clarity. Not weakness. Stillness and decision. Her phone vibrated again. A message. Daniel, you'll have access to what you need once things cool down. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Cool down. She stared at the phrasing, as if she had erupted, as if she were volatile. She typed nothing. He wanted reaction, or worse, compliance. Endure quietly. Comfort would return in controlled installments. She walked to the window. Boats moved beneath the bridges. Traffic flowed in disciplined lines. The city did not pause for personal dismantling. She pressed her fingers to the glass. 12 years. Not explosive. Not dramatic. Gradual thinning. He knew her patterns. He knew she did not shout, did not call friends hysterically. She preferred dignity over spectacle. He was counting on it. Her phone rang. She watched his name illuminate the screen. Let it ring twice. Then answered. Daniel. His voice was smooth, neutral. I didn't want to leave without talking. You did. A pause. I thought it would be easier. For whom? You've been unhappy. The reframing again. You removed my passport. Silence. I needed time to think without pressure. You removed my access to our accounts. It's temporary. You stranded me in another country. You're not stranded, he replied quickly. You're in a 5-star hotel. Comfort is control. When are you returning? I'm not. The word settled. I didn't want a scene. I didn't want accusations. I thought distance would clarify what we already know. And what is that? That we've grown apart, reasonable, measured, controlled. You could have said that at home. I tried. No. He had framed her as restless, imagining things, needing a reset. What happens now? She asked. You take time. Reflect. I'll transfer funds once we've both settled. Transfer. Allowance. Where is my passport? I have it. Her jaw tightened. You don't trust me not to leave. I trust you. I just don't trust emotional reactions. There it was. Final positioning. She unstable. He rational. When will I get it back? We'll talk about that later. A shift in tone. Please don't make this public. It doesn't need to be messy. Reputation. Always. I won't make a scene. I know. That confidence said everything. I have a call. We'll speak soon. The line disconnected. She lowered the phone. He had built this around her temperament. He had leveraged restraint. She turned on the shower. Steam blurred the mirror. When the first tear came, it was quiet. Not collapse, release. She stayed upright, because posture still felt like survival. By afternoon, clarity sharpened. No documentation, no identification, no money. She dressed carefully, cream blouse, structured trousers, minimal jewelry. Composure would be her first asset. At the front desk, she inquired about passport replacement, lost during travel, efficient sympathy, embassy possible. Documentation required, processing time variable. 3 days, she accepted. 3 days in a suite without access. She checked the minibar pricing, closed it. She scanned her email again, a new message. A woman's name she did not recognize. Attached, a photo. Daniel at a restaurant, across from a woman she had never seen. Not overtly intimate. Close enough. Timestamp recent. Location tagged in Seoul. He had not left the city. He had relocated within it. The devastation sharpened. She closed the email, deleted nothing, preserved everything. By evening, hunger pressed. She ordered the simplest meal and signed to the room. While eating, she mapped her position clearly: passport missing, funds restricted, husband nearby, reputation delicate, embassy in 3 days. He believed time would weaken her, isolation would exhaust her, that she would call begging. He underestimated stillness. The next night felt heavier. Silence expands in unfamiliar cities. 11:47 p.m. Daniel, I hope you're taking care of yourself. The gentleness infuriated her more than cruelty. Cruelty justifies reaction. Concern destabilizes. She turned the phone face down. The third morning, no funds, no follow-up, only the image of Daniel and the woman replaying behind her eyes. She rose before dawn, dressed again with care, stood at the window as the city awakened. Traffic did not stall. Seoul functioned. She was not trapped in a void. She was in a system. Systems have openings. He had assumed she would remain suspended between humiliation and hope. Humiliation requires an audience. Hope requires illusion. Both had dissolved. By the time her embassy appointment arrived, she no longer felt abandoned. She felt recalibrated. He removed her resources, not her capacity. That distinction would matter. When she stepped outside alone for the first time, the air felt colder, but clean. She adjusted her coat, walked with measured pace, no spectacle. Inside, something steadied. He believed her restraint would keep her place. He had not considered it could free her, and somewhere in the distance, though she did not know it yet, another man accustomed to reading patterns was about to notice the same thing. The embassy gave her temporary documentation. Temporary papers meant movement. Movement meant choice. She stopped waiting for him to transfer money. She began transferring herself. Applications, interviews, polite rejections. Places that valued charm dismissed her composure. Places that valued noise overlooked her restraint. The fourth door did neither. A private members' club near the Han River. Quiet, unmarked, disciplined. The woman behind the desk studied her resume without expression. You understand discretion? Yes. You don't create scenes. No, a beat. When can you start? Tonight. They hired her before she could reconsider. The first sign Daniel's life had not simply moved on came as an ordinary request. A quiet tap on her shoulder as she arranged glasses behind the bar. The manager's expression was neutral. Her eyes were not. Director Kwon wants to see you. Not asking, wants. She aligned the final glass before turning. Now, yes, no explanation. Upstairs, the corridor absorbed sound. Matte black doors. No names, no markings, anonymity by design. This is private, the manager had said. Speak carefully. The door opened. Inside, restrained elegance, low light, dark wood. The river beyond the glass like moving steel. Kwon stood near the window, jacket off, sleeves rolled precisely, ink visible now, lines, symbols. He did not turn immediately. He let her stand. When he faced her, his expression gave nothing. Sit. She did. He remained standing. I don't call staff here casually. I understand. A pause. You have a husband, yes. He is not here, no. You were abandoned, yes. His gaze lingered, testing for fracture. None. You've been composed. It's my preference. He placed a thin folder on the table. There was a transfer from one of his accounts. It passed through a company attached to mine. Her eyes stayed on him. It was careless, he said. The kind of carelessness that draws unwanted attention. A pause. He believes you will endure. Quietly. He knows me. You let him think he does. Not harsh. Observation. He sat across from her, close enough to narrow the air between them. I am not here to rescue you. I didn't think you were. A slight shift in his gaze. Good. He touched the folder but did not open it. I don't care about your marriage. I care about patterns that draw attention. Silence. Men who abandon responsibility quietly do it everywhere. Money, loyalty, structure. His eyes held hers. Your husband is one of those men. The word husband felt misplaced now. What do you want from me? Alignment with what's about to happen to him. He stood, moved toward the window, starting with small pressure. She didn't move. If you want nothing, he said, continue working. Rebuild. I won't interfere. A beat. But if you want something, you don't inform him or stop what's coming. Her pulse lifted slightly. What does alignment look like? No breaking, no pity, no protecting. You remain who you are. His gaze flicked briefly to her breathing. Deeper now. And when I ask questions, you answer precisely, not emotionally. She almost smiled. I can do that. Good. He slid one page forward, Daniel's name, a transfer, a date, proof. Do not confront him. I wasn't going to. Good. A pause. He closed the folder. When you leave tonight, a new account will be opened in your name. Local, independent. Her eyes sharpened. I didn't ask for that. You didn't. Consider it alignment. What do you want in return? Nothing immediate. He moved closer. For now. His voice lowered. If you feel the urge to help him, don't. The instruction landed clean. She stood. I understand. His gaze followed her movement. At the door his voice stopped her. Your husband will not see this coming. A pause. He believes you would protect him. Her hand rested on the door handle. She did not look back. I won't, she said softly. Then she left the room, heart steady, posture unchanged. But something inside her had shifted into a different kind of calm. Survival, leverage. And downstairs, as she stepped back into the club's low light and controlled music, she realized the most unsettling part. Kwon had offered her alignment, not salvation. That was exactly what she wanted. 3 days after her meeting with Kwon, Daniel called at 6:12 a.m. She let it ring. The call came again at 6:19. Then a message. We need to talk. Not are you okay, not how are you. Need. She set the phone down and continued buttoning her blouse. Outside her studio window, morning light slid across the narrow street below. The world functioned. She did not call back. At the club that evening, nothing appeared different. Lighting low. Music precise. Conversations discreet. Kwon did not approach her. He watched, close, protective. Later that night, carrying a tray upstairs, she caught a fragment of a conversation through a partially closed office door. Compliance review. Unexpected freeze. Temporary. The door shut. Then her phone vibrated in her apron pocket. Daniel again. Call me. Another message minutes later. I'm having an issue. Did you speak to anyone? Her breath stilled. Confirmation. She didn't respond. Mira returned to the floor. Near midnight, Kwon descended the stairs. His gaze swept the room once. Stopped on her. A silent acknowledgement of what was to come. 2 days later, Daniel called again. She answered. Not out of obligation. She preferred hearing the fracture directly. Where are you? He asked. Where you left me. His exhale carried strain. There's been an audit. She said nothing. An account I used for a transfer is under review. Silence. They're asking questions. Is that a problem? She asked calmly. A beat. You didn't speak to anyone, did you? The accusation was restrained. I don't have access to your accounts. Another pause. And you haven't said anything. I haven't. He swallowed. It's temporary for now. Just a hold. Temporary. Like her isolation had been. I'm sure you'll resolve it. Her tone was measured. You sound different. I'm stable. That unsettled him. I'll send money, he added quickly. There was a delay. You don't need to. Silence. What does that mean? It means I don't need you to. His breathing shifted. Are you working? Yes. Where? A faint pause. At a private club. The line went quiet. What kind of club? The kind that values discretion. His jaw tightened. You don't need to do that. I know. But you are. Yes. Silence again. He had calculated her waiting. Not her adaptation. Let's meet, he said suddenly, in person. Here? Yes. I'm busy. You're my wife. You left me. Not accusation. Fact. I didn't expect this to escalate. There was movement behind him now. A television murmur. Glass clinking. A woman's voice cut in, muffled. Daniel, what is going on? It's handled, he hissed quickly. He motioned to silence the voice. It doesn't look handled. Mira stayed silent. For 12 years his confidence had never thinned. Tonight, it did. Behind him again. You said she was out of the picture, a woman said in a hushed voice. His breathing changed. She is, he whispered back. She wouldn't, he stopped. Wouldn't, not couldn't, wouldn't. Mira let the silence sit. For the first time since waking alone in that hotel suite, she felt immovable. Daniel, the woman pressed in a hushed tone. You told me everything was clean. It is, he snapped, too quickly, the first crack. Whatever is happening is your own doing. Don't contact me again, Mira said. She ended the call. That night, his messages multiplied, from control shifting into panic. At the club, Kwon did not reference Daniel again. But once, while she was arranging glassware in the upper lounge, he stood close enough that she felt his warmth. His gaze dropped briefly to her hand, where her wedding ring used to rest. Gone, he noticed. "Has he contacted you?" he asked. "Yes." "You answered?" "Yes." He's unraveling. A brief pause. Good, no further elaboration. Later that week, Daniel sent a longer message. Urgent, desperate. "We should go home, this has gone far enough." She read it twice, far enough, as if the distance had been a mutual decision, as if her independence were a choice. She did not reply. Instead, she transferred her first full paycheck into the new account Kwon's office had quietly facilitated. Her name only, local, independent. She stared at the balance for a moment. Not large, but earned. Daniel called again that night. His voice held a strain he tried to mask. "Is there someone else?" The question came from insecurity. No, he did not believe her. "If you're involved, you'll regret this," he said finally. "I doubt that." She ended the call. Her phone remained quiet for 2 full days after that. Daniel did not message again. He came to the lounge, loud. He shoved through the lower lounge. A glass tipped. A chair scraped across marble. A couple stumbled aside. "Where is she?" he demanded. Heads turned, conversations thinned. Mira stood by the bar, a folded napkin resting between her fingers. His tie hung crooked, his hair uncombed, the sheen of control gone. "You shouldn't be here," she said. He laughed, brittle. "Neither should you." He moved toward her. 2 men in dark tailored suits adjusted their positions instantly. Not intercepting, containing, Daniel noticed. His volume dropped slightly. "I'm being indicted," he said. "Accounts frozen, contracts revoked. And suddenly you're working in this district?" He stepped closer. "You think I don't understand what this is?" The temperature shifted. Conversations did not fade. They stopped. The crowd parted before anyone spoke. Kwon entered, unhurried. The room reorganized around him. He looked at Mira first, a single sweep, assessing then at Daniel. Still, measured. Daniel swallowed. Recognition arrived before logic did. Kwon stopped at Mira's side, close, present. "So it's you," Daniel said, the edge gone from his voice. Kwon's gaze held him. "You forced your way into my establishment. Quiet, controlled. This concerns my wife," Daniel replied. Kwon did not blink. His hand settled at Mira's waist. Firm, claimed. "She stands under my protection." Daniel flushed. "You don't get to decide that." Kwon stepped closer. Daniel had to look up to maintain eye contact. "You abandoned her," Kwon said. A pause. "In my city." The word settled like ownership of territory. "She is my wife," Daniel pressed. "You forfeited that position. No heat, just conclusion." Daniel glanced at the suited men. "You're threatening me?" Kwon tilted his head. "If I were threatening you," he said, voice low even, "this conversation would not be taking place." Daniel stepped back. He did not mean to. His phone vibrated in his hand. Once, twice, 3 times. He looked down. Another freeze, another notice. His breathing thinned. He looked to Mira. "You think he'll keep you when this becomes inconvenient?" Daniel tried. Kwon's arm tightened around Mira's waist. "She is not temporary." The suited men moved closer. Daniel felt the perimeter close. "Leave," Kwon said. He did not raise his voice. It was not repeated. Daniel hesitated. Kwon's gaze sharpened, just enough. Daniel understood. He was guided backward through the parted crowd. No struggle, just removal. The door closed. The music resumed, order restored. Kwon's hand remained at Mira's waist, steady, heat restrained beneath tailored fabric. "You inform me," he said quietly, eyes still on the door, "if he approaches you again." "Yes." His thumb shifted once against her waist. Approval, possession. Then his hand withdrew. The room exhaled, and for the first time since waking alone in that hotel suite, Mira did not feel abandoned. Daniel's dismantling continued. His firm terminated him before charges were filed. Accounts seized, assets frozen, indicted within days. By the time he was taken into custody, no one stood beside him. Mira felt untethered. The formal separation documents arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. No apology, no argument, just attachments. She reviewed them at her small kitchen table. Asset division, property allocation. A clause emphasizing confidentiality, of course. She signed without hesitation. When she closed the laptop, there was no triumph. The marriage had ended the morning she woke alone in Seoul. This was paperwork. That evening she worked as usual. Black dress, hair secured, movements precise. Kwon was already in the upper lounge when she arrived. Near midnight, the manager approached quietly. "He'd like you upstairs." She nodded once and ascended. The upper lounge was dimmer than usual. The city beyond the glass shimmered in disciplined lines of light. Kwon stood near the window, jacket off again, sleeves rolled. The ink along his forearms was fully visible now, bold black lines curving in deliberate geometry, disappearing beneath fabric. He did not speak when she entered. He studied her first. "You signed," he said. It was not a question. "Yes." "No negotiation?" "No." He stepped closer, not enough to crowd her, but enough that the air shifted subtly between them. "Are you certain about this?" he asked. "Yes." His gaze moved slowly over her face, not assessing beauty but if she was okay. "You're no longer tethered." The words settled between them. "No," she agreed. A pause. He reached for a glass on the table and poured a small measure of whiskey, then another. He handed one to her. Their fingers brushed deliberately this time, intentional. The contact was brief, but it carried electricity. Her pulse quickened. He noticed. "Of course he did. You've been in control of yourself," he said quietly. "Disciplined, consistent. I prefer that. I know." He took a sip, watching her over the rim of his glass. "You never asked what I would gain from aligning with you. You told me. Patterns." A faint shift in his expression. "And now?" She held his gaze. "What do you gain now?" The room felt smaller without moving. He stepped closer, measured. "Stability," he said softly. "This hasn't shaken you." It was a compliment. She received it as one. He set his glass down. "So I'll ask directly," he continued. "Are you staying in Seoul?" The question carried weight beyond geography. "Yes." "For me?" he asked. "No," she said evenly. "For myself." A beat. Then, slight, deliberate, he smiled. "Good." Anything else would have diminished them both. He lifted his hand slowly, deliberately. His fingers hovered near her jaw. A silent question. She didn't step away. She leaned in. His thumb brushed beneath her ear, warm, controlled. Her breath deepened. He noticed. "You feel everything," he said quietly. "Yes. But you don't display it, no." His fingers traced to her collarbone. Ink shifted along his forearm, black against pale fabric, stark and refined. Her gaze flicked down to it. "Curious?" he asked. "A little." He withdrew his hand slightly and extended it toward her. "Look." She brushed his sleeve back. The ink revealed itself, sharp lines forming a pattern older than fashion. Her fingertips hovered. "May I?" "Yes." She touched him, light, careful, tracing ink against warm skin. His breath shifted, barely. He didn't pull away. "You don't flinch," she said softly. "Neither do you." Her hand stilled on his forearm. The space between them tightened. Magnetic. He lowered his head slightly, not enough to kiss her, but close enough that she felt the heat of him near her mouth. "If I step closer," he said quietly, "it won't be temporary." She closed the remaining distance herself. The decision was hers. Her lips met his, not rushed, not consuming, intentional. His hand slid to her waist, firm but controlled. He did not dominate the kiss. He matched her pace. It deepened gradually, heat building through restraint rather than force. When they separated, they were both breathless. He studied her again. He leaned his forehead briefly against hers, a gesture startling in its intimacy. "And you're choosing to stay," he confirmed. "Yes." The words felt earned, not reactive, not desperate. He pulled back just enough to see her fully. "Then understand something," he said quietly. "I don't abandon what's mine." The sentence did not sound like a promise. It sounded like a fact. Her hand slid lightly along his sleeve again, fingers brushing the edge of ink before resting against his chest. His heart beat steadily beneath tailored fabric. "I don't need rescuing," she said. "I know. And I won't be controlled. I know." A faint smile touched her mouth. Good. Outside, the river moved beneath the city lights. Inside, the air felt charged but grounded. He kissed her again, slower this time, deeper, but still measured. When his hand moved to the small of her back, it was with deliberate pressure. Connection. Later that night, when she stepped out onto the narrow balcony of her studio apartment with Kwon beside her, Seoul stretched below them in disciplined silence. She had not returned home. She had not waited. She had not preserved a man who discarded her. She chose herself. Kwon moved close behind her. One hand resting lightly at her waist, she leaned back into him. Seoul did not feel foreign anymore. It felt earned. And in the quiet architecture of the city's night, she understood something clearly. He had believed her restraint made her small. But restraint, when chosen, is power. And she had chosen exactly where to stand. You've reached the end of this story. Thank you for watching Neon Obsidian, where resilience rises quietly and power moves in silence. See you next time.